I was born at my Grandma Jefferson's house down by Greenfield. My mom and dad lived just 2 miles up the road from here on the Dean Bauer place. And I was born May the 19th, 1929.
I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and on June 23rd, 1929. Ken used to play basketball with us when we were all 11, 12 like that, and he was the oldest, so he had longer arms and he'd just keep us from making a basket every time. And he thought it was great fun, but we didn't.
The thing we remembered the most is when Mom would give us a bath. Back then we never had electricity, water in the house, or a bathroom. So she'd take this big wash tub, set a child in it, take her washcloth, really soapy washcloth, and you wanted to keep your mouth and your eyes shut or you got soap in your mouth or eyes. And then she would take a wash basin full of clean water and rinse us off. And that's the way she went down the line with each one of us. I always wanted to be a teacher, but it didn't work out too good being a teacher and a farmer's wife. I felt like I wasn't doing the kids justice because we had 8 grades and you had to prepare for each one of those grades. Not like nowadays when they have a 3rd grade class or a 4th grade class. But I was also expected to help milk the cows, have a great big garden, and for me it didn't work out too good.
A mother and stay home with my kids. Nothing. I did not like school and I ruined every weekend thinking that Monday I was going to have to go back to school. I just didn't like it. I don't think I ever learned how to study, and I wasn't too smart, but I was 6, I guess, or 5 in June, and I started a school, and I think I was too immature, and also I had dyslexia, because I told Deanie how I felt, and she said, yep, you had a capital case of it.
Our childhood was quite a bit of work. By the time we were 5 or 6 years old, we were beginning to work in the garden, pull weeds, pick strawberries, and we also learned to clean. Our house would get pretty cluttered sometimes, but it was clean. And when Mom cleaned, she cleaned everything. Being a family of 10, later when we had painted walls, we had to scrub the walls and the windows and wash the curtains. And if we were going to have company, everything was totally cleaned. My 2 aunts, Aunt Vera and Aunt Mildred. Aunt Mildred was a beautiful lady. I always admired her so because she looked so pretty. And Aunt Vera was real good to us.
Probably my mom. She took us all to church and Sunday school and saw that we got to school on time and everything, so she was my role model. Well, we used to go to the skating rink, and that is one thing that my daddy really did do for us. He would drive us on Sunday afternoon, and then my mom and dad would watch us skate, and they had music to it, so that was really fun if we went to the skating rink over the weekend.
I drove the horses on the hay fork, and I drove them for a whole week, and they gave me a $2 check, and did I ever think I was rich? That's when you could buy shoes for 50 cents, and so I bought some new shoes, and I got material to make me a new dress. I met Leonard up in Audubon at a dance, and our first date we went to St. Patrick's dance in Audubon. We went together a couple of years. One year after 1 year while we were engaged. And then back then, you know, if you didn't get married out of high school, you were an old maid. So I got married. I graduated from high school.
Well, I must have been 18 when I got engaged, and we were engaged a year, and I got married at 19, and Morris was 18. And we worked in the same office, and he would walk past me all the time, and I kept looking at him, and he kept looking at me, and finally he asked me to go out. We were too young to get married. But my dad said, "You're awful young, aren't you?" And Mother said, "That's exactly the age I was when we got married." And he didn't say another word. Morris chose Deanie to be named. I didn't want Marilyn, but he did. And about 3 weeks we called her Marilyn. And then he said, "Why don't we call her our middle name?" Deanie was his sister's name. Her name was Jean. And Morris couldn't say Jean, but he could say Dean, so that's what we called her, Marilyn Deanie.
I named my kids short names so they would be easy to spell. And Boyd, my mom thought of that name, and Scott. Joyce Jurgensen was a nurse at the time, and so she was helping me think of names. So we thought of Scott, and she couldn't think of a middle name to go with Scott, so I said Scott Evan, and that was the end of that. I would say I enjoyed my neighbor's kids probably about as much. I had more time for them. I never had a little girl of my own, so you know, Megan was very precious to me. I enjoyed Luke too, but Megan, I enjoyed her so much more because it was a time in our life when I wasn't as busy, and she was just a fun little kid to have around. My, did we ever play a lot, and she loved shooting. She loved shooting her BB gun. And I had my son's BB gun, so we would go out and have target practice together. But one time, she took the BBs out of my gun and I could not hit that target. And then I found out later what she had done.
People do help you if you've got a good family, and I've got a good family. Having all my kids grow up and being thoughtful and Christian and going to church.
Volunteering and stuff like that. I love volunteering. I've enjoyed the Lions Club. I've enjoyed church volunteering, the things we do at CWF. Belong to Study Club, and that's another service organization, and I enjoyed that. I probably loving, respect, patience, being honest, love your Lord, think of others, be kind to others.
To go to church and to be truthful, do the best they can at school, and help your parents when their parents get old. Merry Christmas, Megan, and you've picked a good husband, so we're all happy.
Merry Christmas to you, Megan, and have a good New Year, and I know you will. And I can tell by the way you're living all these wonderful things, going all these wonderful places, and you have a wonderful husband, and I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful for you.